welcome to the India InsurTech podcast series on women in insurance. This podcast talks to women leaders to understand the perspective their leadership can bring to the table. I'm Deepthi Bhaskar, a member of the IIA, and on behalf of India InsurTech, I'm hosting the first podcast with Shanai Ghosh, CEO and MD of Zuno General Insurance. Welcome to the podcast, Shanai.
Thanks, Deepthi. Thanks for having me.
Great. And given the theme, women in insurance, I'm going to dive straight to the point. Why are there so few in the insurance sector, especially when it comes to leadership roles?
You know, uh, if I look at the number of women CEOs, it has increased. I would like to think that it started with me in GI. Non In life, we've had women CEOs. We had Shikha Sharma, who was the CEO of ICICI Prudential. We have Vibha Padalkar. We had Vishaka. So we had a few women CEOs. After me, I think we've had Nestlé. We had some. Anamika in IFCO Tokyo, she's moved on. But in the PSUs, we've had quite a few women CEOs. AI, Agricultural Insurance has had, New India Today has. So I'm seeing some women CEOs come up. Yes, it's not um, in the numbers that we would like to see, but there is some movement that is happening. And I do see that at some levels, there is an interest in getting women leaders on board. The problem is the pipeline before the CXO level. That
Yes.
pipeline seems to completely dry up.
So,
And
Shana, before you get into you talk about why it's not happening, you are making a very interesting point that things are changing.
yeah,
There is certainly seem to be interest to have more women take up leadership roles. Why do you think that change is happening? Like, what is sort of warranting that change?
I think it's both sides both things that are changing. I think there are three things that are changing. I think mindsets have changed. We've been chipping away, people like you and me have been chipping away at this for a while now. So I think mindsets are shifting. People have seen women leaders and they have seen how successful they have been. And, with the world becoming more and more diverse every day, gender is becoming almost, not meaningless, but definitely not a point of discussion because woman is just one gender. Last count, I believe there are more than 70 genders. So you can't be looking at things from a gender lens any longer. So that's one thing. I think the younger population that is coming in, their mindsets are changing. The second thing, like I said, women have been in roles. Okay, so they have delivered, people have seen performance, people have seen value being added. And now, apart from the unique perspective or unique skill set they probably bring, I think people are also seeing them as professionals. I mean,
True.
just based on capability. Third thing that has happened is I think the new generation of women, especially the youngest generation, I think they're coming in with a lot of confidence and belief. I mean, the self-belief that I see in the younger girls today, it's incredible to see. It's amazing to watch. I just hope they keep that fire alive for the next 10 to 15 years because that's where it starts to peter out. And the fourth thing I would say, what has happened is actually post-COVID, flexibility of working has become normalized. Earlier it used to be taboo that a woman wants some flexibility on working. Oh, she's not serious about her career. She wants to prioritize her home. But the younger millennials and the Gen Z are prioritizing flexibility and remote working, all of these things so much that it's become normalized. All genders want it. And definitely, when you give flexibility to women with their roles that they have to carry out at home, it does, help them stay invested in a career.
Yes, yes.
When uh, I would say, I dare say, even 15 years back, even 10, 15 years back, this was not the case. And therefore, at some point, women had to make a choice between, going aggressive on their career or, choosing to stay
Having
home
been a case of either
or step back a
either
little bit.
or.
Even I wouldn't say choosing, but, step back a little bit. So, okay, it would be like, okay, next 2 years, let me prioritize my child, and then I will get back to it. A lot less of that is happening now.
Yeah, you made a very interesting point when you said that increasingly the workforce is becoming gender agnostic. I would like to believe that is true, although we still have data that sort of says otherwise to some extent. More than
I
that, I think
I'm saying it's important to become. I wouldn't say we have,
yes, it is
especially in India, we have gone that distance. I don't think so. But I think small shifts are happening.
sure. And I think the other interesting point and a very important one that you made was that when you look at the younger crop, right, they don't come with the baggage of how it's been in the workforce traditionally, right? Like they don't come with the baggage of a sector being a specific gender dominant, right? So I take that point, but you were also sort of expressing concern in terms of, I just hope it doesn't peter out in the next 15 years. Right now, do you have reasons for those concerns, or you look, or you see, or you are very hopeful that things would have shifted in the next 15 years? Are you seeing signs of it?
I like I said, I think the one of the big reasons why people aren't able to, nurture that fire was because very often they had to make a choice because, working in office, going to office, doing time. So I'm hopeful that, with this flexible working, environment that we are giving people, we are able to give uh, people that enabling environment to manage both. It's never, I don't believe genuinely that you can balance it out perfectly. You can't. But you can at least navigate it. One, sometimes you will put, prioritize your career. Sometimes you'll prioritize your family. I mean, it has happened to me. I was just lucky that I had a boss who understood that and who had a good equation with me at that point of time. But I really had to fight my way through. I remember my son was about 5 months old and 6 months old, maybe 6, 7 months old. There was one month that I used to be in office till 10:30, 11 at night, right? And I prioritized. But there was another time that my son, fell down and I just left everything and I said that I have to go and be with. So you have to make those choices all the time. Today, those choices have become easier to make, which is why I'm saying that I hope that they sustain this fire and we as organizations give them the environment and the platform to sustain their fire, that they don't have to make this choice. And
Sure.
lastly, I
So,
would
Shreya,
like to say that I think men are also stepping up, you know. It's
yes,
very
yes, I think
important.
that's important to acknowledge. Yes,
Very
absolutely.
important. You can't just manage everything and, do everything at home and have this great career at work unless your partner at home also steps up and shoulders equal
Yeah.
responsibility, or
Yeah.
at least some of
You,
it.
you spoke about yourself, right? You spoke about the challenges that you faced with that comes with motherhood for a working woman.
Yes.
If you were to sort of highlight the challenges of your work life and how that sort of shaped your trajectory, your career trajectory as a leader, I'm very interested to sort of know those experiences, if you have those anecdotes that you can share with us.
Oh, there was this is something that my then boss told me that he actually my boss changed within, like, I had just delivered and 3 4 days down the line I found that the boss had changed, right? And he was a new leader. He was taking over the organization. He wanted to meet the leadership, and I remember being asked to meet him 3 weeks after I had delivered. And I gave such a tough time to my HR head. I said, "Are you mad? I don't even know whether I'm coming or going. How can I, kind of meet the person?" He said, "No, no, he'll come to this hotel. It's right next to you. You will meet him." Of course, he didn't come to that hotel. And knowing my boss now, I know that it would have been too much to expect him to come to that hotel. But then he said, "Our office is close by. Why don't you come? He will meet you. I'll make sure." And I went there, said, if he's not out of his room meeting me, I'm going to leave immediately because I have just a 2 hour window to meet him after. So my CHRO was waiting there outside the door, made sure he met me. And at that point of time, I was asked, "Can you work from home?" And I told, no. I said, this is the time I prioritize my career also. this is the time I'm going to prioritize this. So whatever be the consequences, I'm willing to bear it. When I got back, the organization had been completely reshuffled. So I literally clawed my way back, and I put in a lot of effort, but also I dealt with confidence, saying that, I know what I bring to the table and I know what I'm capable of. I just need a chance to, show that. And you need luck also. Luckily, I did get a chance to show that. And from then on, it was, I was able to build my rapport, build my equity again. And in my career, I've always had a situation where every 3, 4 years, there's a leadership change and where you need to build your equity again. So I had kind of experienced that and I was very used to that. I didn't give myself that option of thinking, oh my God, I have to do it again. I just didn't think of it. And also, I think I was in a very happy space. Having my son, it was great. I think that happy space helps you navigate some challenges. At least I feel that it kind of helped me navigate some challenges at work. And once you are able to get a good working equation with the people, especially your boss, I think that really, really helps. And it helped me a lot. I would
Yeah.
like to give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah. And I think I would also like to believe that for women, right, especially women who are good at their jobs, somehow it is not followed by the kind of confidence they should exhibit, the kind of strength they should exhibit, and the kind of, being stubborn that they should be. I think somewhere, and I wouldn't know, why that is the case, but we've seen that. But is it even more difficult in, let's say, the financial sector? So you've been in I mean, you're in insurance now, but you've also been with the banking sector. Is it a problem of the sector that we're working where it's slightly more difficult because, it's finance, it's a male dominated sector? Does it get tougher?
Actually, I think more than finance, it's retail finance. It's a distribution dominated sector. And
Yes.
unfortunately, in distribution, you don't have many women. I wouldn't like to point a finger at the institution and say they are not encouraging women. I think sales, and as a leader, I've seen this. I don't think many women are comfortable doing sales for various reasons. Okay, some people are not comfortable at the odd hours it demands. Sometimes as a sales call, you need to go at odd hours. They need some discipline in their life. They need to be able to work at your own pace. Sometimes the physical challenges of a sales job isn't something that women are comfortable with, like traveling at odd hours. So it's not something. So by design of the job, I think there aren't too many people in sales, women in sales. As I see in distribution, there are very few. But all the other
That will
jobs,
also change with the whole technology that we are
yes.
sort
So
of
it depends on
providing.
the kind of distribution. Ours is still a very partnership driven retail kind of distribution in the industry. So it still is quite dominated by men.
Hmm.
Uh, there are a few women, but far and few between. In fact, if you go on the other side, if you look at technical functions like actuarial, you will find a lot more women there.
Hmm.
But I would say that even in actuarial, there are very few women leaders. I don't know why they've not made it, because actuarial is a function that you really women can excel in that, because it's a very it's a head office function. It's largely a head office function. It's technical. You can work at it remotely. My head of actuary, and in fact, she heads many functions, not just actuarial, is a woman. So I don't know why actually, but all the other technical functions, except for distribution, I think every other function, women can grow and women can lead in the industry. I'm wondering why they don't, but what I have seen is that after a certain time, because of this choice that you think you're forced to make, people do have to make that choice. But what I did mention when you asked me how I navigated it, I think it really does take a village to manage a career and a child at home, right? So I was very lucky that I did have that village. I had, of course, my husband. I called my parents on duty. I called my in-laws on duty. Of course, I had help
It takes
apart
a
from
village,
that.
right, to raise a
Yeah, it
child.
does take a village, right? So many people don't have that option. Okay, so I know my friends who, despite not having that option, have worked with help, but many people can't even have an option of help. So the childcare, facility does become a bit of a deterrent for women to continue careers, which is why I'm saying if you have a flexible work environment where women can work from home maybe at least a couple of days, and you have a supportive spouse who can pick up the rest of the slack, I think that's really going to push. But fundamentally, I think you need to nurture the fire. You need to be driven and
Yes.
ambitious that you need to go there. You shouldn't do, you will have those moments of weakness where you will say, just forget it. Let me give up. I mean, it's all good. I'll coast. I will do a job, but I don't need to get to the top. So a lot of people are doing the jobs. It's not that they've dropped out of the career, but they have not nurtured their fire to get to the top because somewhere
Yeah.
they've decided that it's okay. I'll continue this.
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
working. I'll have a career, but why do I need to, push myself to the top? Because it's taking too much out of me, too much.
Yeah.
So kind of an effort, you need to nurture that fire. So I think women need to light their ambition a little more.
Yeah, I think point well taken. Very good advice. I'm also very interested to sort of ask you this. When you talk about women in leadership roles in the insurance sector, now, yes, you've spoken of some names, and those are formidable names to speak of. But let's say the ratio shifted. You had more women in the insurance sector, especially in leadership roles. Can you sort of think of how maybe products, maybe distribution, or maybe customer engagement, like how would various aspects of insurance look like? Would there be a change with the unique perspective that maybe women can bring to the table? Would you like to
Yes,
name
I
a
do.
few? Just name a few. Like this would change and this is how it would be done.
I do think things would change a lot. Uh, to quote, I know it sounds like a cliche, but women generally are more compassionate. So with that compassion, I think the focus on employees, the focus on customers, building partnerships, leading through building relationships. Men build relationships through camaraderie. Every they have different strengths. Men have that backslapping, let's go for a drink kind of camaraderie that builds that kind of bond homie. Women, at least very often, I have seen the kind of women leaders don't necessarily have that, let's go for a drink, but they build that through compassion and empathy. So there are different leadership styles, and there's place for both in an organization. So
Absolutely.
I definitely think that the focus on employees and the focus on customers would change or um, change or shift in the sense that I wouldn't say more focus, but the type of focus would be different. The kind of things that we would want to do would be different. Um, Also, I feel that women can be very intuitive and in business decision making. So they can bring a lot of different intuition, not just business acumen, but intuition into business decision making. So I think that would also help in a lot of different kinds of decisions that are being made in business today. Um, and I think women, I don't know. I'm informed by women who are around me. They're very because we are managing so many things, right? We have already multitasking. We are famous for multitasking because we have to manage things at home. We are very focused. We don't waste much time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Leaders, if a woman gets to a leadership position, you will find that there's a little less of chatting and everything, and very focused on
Yes.
getting task done and finished. So I dare say efficiency might go up.
Hmm. Interesting. That's a very interesting point.
That's my view. I might get trolled by
No, I think
men
your
out
perspective.
there,
It's
but it's my view because that's how I've seen that, women come and they're so focused. There's very little of cigarette break, chai break
Yes,
thing happening.
yes,
So we are focused at getting the work done and making sure. So we do tend to become, because of circumstances, more efficient. So I guess
yeah, yeah. So,
I
Shimei, as the CEO of a company, as the head of a company, what advice would you give to your peers, to fellow CEOs, fellow heads of insurance companies, in terms of sort of ensuring a more inclusive and equitable work culture, that also ensures that women, right, to be specific, are also able to climb the corporate ladder without having to peter out. So one, of course, is for an individual to be, like you said, keep the fire burning, not give up, and ensure that at the end of the day you're responsible for your career. So that is an individual standpoint. But from a company standpoint, how do you make that conducive?
so two things I believe will make a huge shift. The first thing is your workplace policies. You have to give a flexible work option to people, and not just to the women, to men also, because it has to be equal opportunity. Men
Yes.
shouldn't feel discriminated against, because if you give equal opportunity to the men, they will be able to step up to support their wives, right? So one is, I truly believe that some level of flexibility in working is very, very important. Of course, it'll have to be uh, calibrated based on the role that you do. Some roles demand that you come to office, some roles don't. So if you can, please give that, flexible environment. Uh, Operate through trust and not through the rule book, you know.
Hmm.
Um, the third thing I would say is in the middle management, you should have, apart from the general leadership pipeline building that you do, focus and spot the women leaders and focus on them and go beyond everything to make sure that you take them along. If you think that they have potential, give them all the support and make sure that they don't drop out.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes.
So instead of making like nice statements like saying, okay, I have my diversity quotient is this, the problem is not the number of women coming into the workforce. The problem is that once they hit middle management for whatever level, even if they stay in the workforce, they are not pushing themselves
Yes.
forward, right? For
Hmm.
whatever reason, I hope it changes. I hope it changes. I have reason to believe it will change. The new girls are really very confident and driven, as I see. But so were we, right? And
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of my batchmates also kind of settle back a little bit. So I think somewhere, if we can identify those women in our organization who are at that cusp, who could go either way, can we nurture their fire, like I keep on saying, and drive them and show them their potential and ambition and push them forward? I think that would be something I would definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And on that note, I think we've come to the end of this podcast. But before I let you go, I have to ask you this. Who's your role model or role models, and what leadership style have you, imbibed from them?
You know, honestly, I get very flummoxed when someone asks me this, but because honestly, I can't think of any one role model. There are different things, um, but one lady has always I've always admired her, Kiran Shaw Majumdar. I've always admired her, what she's built. Um, I think she needs so much more recognition than she's already famous. But I think she's done a lot more than even today that she's famous for. I think she needs to be given a lot more credit. What she's built, how she's built, from where she's come. And she's a really um, outspoken lady. She speaks her
Yes.
mind. Okay. And so
So, what is the quality that you like? What is it that you have sort of?
I think her tenacity and resilience and the courage that she has to speak her mind is
Hmm.
something that I really admire in her. The other thing, and this is when I read this book by Sheryl Sandberg, which is a legend now, Lean In, right? When she exactly around the time I had my son, and that has stayed with me because that was while we know it all, But that was a moment of epiphany for me that we don't really lean in. Women don't ask. Men, a lot of men seem very entitled. They deserve, demand more and more. Women make excuses saying that, okay, maybe I didn't get it. Maybe this is the reason. No, we've got to demand more. We've got to put our hand up. If we don't bet on ourselves, people will not bet. So you have to push yourself a little bit out of a comfort zone, uh, promote yourself a little bit. Unfortunately, even I'm not good at doing that. I hate doing that. But that is the need of the hour. You have to go
Yes,
out,
be
tell
out there and
people
be
that
confident.
you need to think of me. So that book I've read and I've used it 2, 3 times in my life, and I've always got results for that. So that book has helped me a lot.
Great.
And of course, I mean, my mother has been a housewife, but she was educated, but a housewife. My father was in the army, so she couldn't really pursue a career. But she kind of drilled it in her head that you've got to be independent, that whatever you do, you got to be independent. So that has stayed with me. And that independence is something that keeps on driving me not to ever give up. And my own brand of leadership, I think all that you need to be authentic. You got to be real. You
Yes,
can't be trying to be someone else because you see some leader you admire some. You got to be yourself because people see through nowadays.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
absolutely liked the candor with which you spoke, and you spoke your mind, which is basically what you've been talking about as a leader. And I hope the viewers have enough pearls of wisdom to think about. Great. Thank you.
thank you so much, Deepti. Lovely chatting with you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.